Oh, yeah. Bless and love, my lords. Welcome to another live interview by Red Lion. I'm joined here today by our co host Dudley.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show.
And we have the honor to have on the show Mr. Pindar Van Arman. I hope I pronounced that correct. How are you doing,
Hey,
sir?
you pronounce it perfectly, and thank you. Yeah, it is an honor to be on the show as well. So, hello everyone. I'm seeing lots of familiar faces in the crowd. This is great. Having a really good time recently. So, look forward to the talk.
Thank you so much for accepting to chat with us. I will be honest, I wasn't aware of your work before I found you through crypto art, and just before this interview, I started looking you up, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I was like so impressed, like in every step of the way, and there's a lot of content that I would like to dive into, but why don't you give us a little bit of a TLDR about yourself and your career and how you started with art and now with crypto?
All right, sure. Yeah, sure. When you say you weren't familiar with my art, I've been an artist, and for the first 15 years, I was in obscurity. No one knew about my art, but I started about. I've been an artist all my whole life, but like I started getting serious and decided that I was going to make art every day and make a career of it. Like in 2005, 20 years ago, and I probably even a little before, but the big breakthrough and when I started doing something different from a lot of other artists was when I built a painting robot to help me. Like I needed a studio assistant, and I realized I had to have to be an artist. I had to make a lot of paintings, but I had a family and I didn't have much time and I had a job. So I had this crazy idea to like, I'll build a robot that does most of the work. And then I'll just spend an hour after I get the kids to sleep and finish up the paintings. And so I started building painting robots in 2005, and every year they just get a little more sophisticated, a little more artificial intelligence. And this was before deep learning, which is really big now. They used to have like simple artificial intelligence programs to get technical, like k-means clustering or the traveling salesman problem to plan the brushstrokes. And these robots would pick up a brushstroke, dip them in paint, and make brushstrokes on a canvas. And I had this I had a good thing going because I was like, I only need to make one a day, sell it for a couple $100s, and then I could do it full time. And then if demand got bigger, I could build 5 robots and like have a whole studio of them. This of course never came to fruition because people like the story of the artist. I got more hate mail than love. I got rejected for 15 years from gallery after gallery, show after show. There were shows where they say, "Hey, these aren't paintings," and then I would say, I'll submit it as a print then." And then they'd look at me and say, "They aren't prints either," and they wouldn't even let me apply to shows. And so, of course, as an artist, you
Oh
got
man, that's so inspiring. That's wow. You hear that, Dudley? How many years you said?
Yeah.
10 years you were getting rejected?
yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's
Wow.
inspiring because it's like it, it maybe revealed to me the number one thing an artist has to do is just be resilient. Uh, you know, you
Absolutely.
you're wondering what the secret of like successful artists is that they. Yeah, and I'm not the only one. It's like this is the story of generative art in general. I'm finding a lot of generative artists, like from the 50s to 60s to today, had people say, "Ah, machines making your art. You're not real art. You use code to make your art." And so it's a common theme, and I got to experience it firsthand. And the big breakthrough happened when
Hmm.
my big personal breakthrough when I realized I had a friend that joked with me when he saw my robot once. He goes, "Dude, I got the perfect name for your robot." And he looked at it, and the robot was picking up paint and applying paint. And he goes, "You should call it the printer." And I thought that was amusing, and I thought it was funny because it was a printer. My early robot, not now, man. My robots now are like something really interesting, but back then it would just have a painting and it would print the painting out. It would like follow instructions over and over again. And the big breakthrough I had is I got home from work one day and the brush had broken off, but the robot was still painting as if it had a brush in its hand, just going through the motions. of, imagine if you walked up on a painter and the painter had the brushes on the floor and the painter was going through the motions of making a painting. And it seemed so absurd to me that I realized it's like, no, this thing has to know what it's doing. This has to be taking pictures, and it has to plan its next brushstroke based on the last brushstroke. And there's this concept that was created by artist Paul Klee, called the feedback loop, the artistic feedback loop. And the painter Paul Klee said, the creative process is an artist makes a mark, takes a step back, looks at the mark, and makes the next mark. And that's, he described abstract expressionism like that. Make a mark, what's the effect, make the next mark based on that over and over again at a micro and macro level. And I realized I want my robot to do that. I want it to be smart enough that it responds to what's actually emerging on the canvas. And around 2010, I added that. And I didn't realize I was the first person to do that. And I rarely claim firsts, because I think firsts are not a good thing for artists to claim, because firsts often go to people that just get something out there as fast as possible without a lot of thought. So I'm not claiming a first, but there was other painting robots at the time, specifically E. David. And E. David wrote a paper about how they had learned that technique from me. And I thought that was cool. And E. David is a big, very, very popular robot coming out of Germany. And I just thought, I was like, I just came up with this idea that the robot should paint what it and make its input should be what it sees. So it's like it has a direction I set its memory in, and then it modifies that direction by what the paint appears on the canvas, like an artist. So that was good, and then the next breakthrough came, and still in obscurity. I'm respected by other robot artists, but all of us are in obscurity. But then deep learning happened in around 2015, or maybe, I don't know when. Lisa, I'm not a historian; I'm just an artist, so please don't quote me on the dates. So the next breakthrough came when Lee Sedol was defeated by AlphaGo by Google, a game of Go, and everyone was saying that this game, the deep learning algorithm AlphaGo, actually was creative, and that caught my attention. I was like, what do you mean the robot?
I have watched hours of content on YouTube on that.
Really? So what
Yeah.
So was it interesting?
There was one move that it made out of nowhere that made no sense, and then it won the game at the end, and it changed the whole game. It was very, it seemed random, but it was really, really cool at the end.
What was it?
So yeah, a lot of analysis on that.
Yeah. Exactly. I was obsessed by it too. But I had to understand, was it creative? And because if it was creative, I wanted it in my robots.
Oh, you mean was the move a creative result, a creative output, or was it calculated? Is this what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Was it brute force or was it creative?
I don't know, man. This, probably this one played so many games. This machine. I don't know if it was. That's a very good question. I don't think that question has an answer, though. I never thought about it this way.
Yeah.
That's a very, very beautiful perspective.
Yeah, thanks. And you can see why that got my attention, because I'm trying to make a creative machine. And I'll be clear here so I don't anger people. My robots are not artists. I'm the artist. I never even make it ambiguous that these are robot artists. And I actually get irritated when people present their robot artists as artists, or their robot painting machines as artists, because they're not going to be artists until they have a message to give us and they have intent, and they think it's hey, this is a piece of art. But they are creative, and that going down that rabbit hole of what is going on with deep learning led me to the first thing was style transfer. And style transfer, everyone knows it, but maybe you don't know it's called style transfer. It's like when you get a filter on your phone and then you say, paint me like Van Gogh. And so my robots went into a style of painting the cubist. And then after I had a lot of examples, I started feeding the robot's own paintings and my own paintings back into the robot and said, paint in my style. And so I was able to give them my style. And then after that, deep learning and GANs, generative adversarial networks, this is when I believe that machines learn to imagine, learn to dream. And so now they can imagine things with GANs, and that's very popular. And the current wave right now is text to image. It's a new wave, and it's a new awesome thing. And it's just getting amazing that these are so sophisticated. And all along the way, I've added each of these to my painting robot and made the art. And then then I started getting noticed. But before I got noticed, I was on Super Rare. No one was noticed, and I was one of the earliest artists on Super Rare. And this is going to conclude my story, but it's an interesting arc. But I felt like an imposter in Super Rare because I'd have these robot paintings, which I've been describing to you all, and I would take pictures of the painting and put it on Super Rare. But Super Rare had to be digital, and Super Rare was about digital art and unique digital art. And so I even had this weird arrangement with John Crane and Perkins that I would destroy the painting after I took a photo and put it on Super Rare. And this always made me feel like an imposter, that I wasn't a real digital artist. I was just a physical artist taking photos of paintings and selling photos of paintings. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel digitally native.
It was just, I think, like the space was immature to accept like that. It had to be like conformed into
Yeah.
what people thought the way it should fit in, I would say. Who was your first collector? I'm curious. You said you were on Super Rare Unnoticed.
Yeah, my first collector, and I think his first collector was X Copy. I traded one.
Oh wow! What a bomb!
So, I mean, this is
I didn't expect that. I was expecting something. Oh, it was Moonboy 69420.
No, it was actually his Genesis piece. I got his Genesis piece, which I later sold for record breaking. This is going to make everyone laugh. It was the first work on Super Rare to sell for over $1,000 when I resold it.
Wow.
So.
Oh my God. Oh, what a story, man. That is crazy. I love how you put everything into perspective for us, and from your own point of view. I love the how you described everything. You found basically a creative solution to your creative problem, and from there on, basically a new art movement. You mentioned that you don't think that your robots are the artists, you are the artist. But how would you self-describe yourself? Are you a robot artist, a generative artist, an AI artist? How would you describe yourself nowadays?
Yeah, I think my story is one of starting off as an AI artist and becoming a crypto artist. And why I say that is, like I told you, I had this imposter syndrome of being like, I'm not really a digital artist, but I'm selling artwork on Super Rare. And that's and I just, over the years, even though I was one of the earliest Super Rare artists, over the years, I've become full crypto. And my latest work, ByteGans, is completely crypto. There's not even anything robotic art about it. It's a pure crypto contract, a custom contract, 100% on chain. It deals with all the issues happening right now in the moment with crypto. Is it a piece of art? Is it a coin? Different people use it in different ways. So it's gone from like doing the robot paintings and AI to now doing AI as a crypto artist. I think that's really interesting, actually. And I'm a little possessive about being a crypto artist, meaning like I'm looking in the scene. I was actually just talking to Cody about this the other day. Is a lot of artists are going to move into crypto art, but they're not going to be crypto artists, and they're going to move into crypto art because they come and make. They're like, wow, there's a lot of money to be made there, so I'm going to go do a drop, and I'm going to disappear after my drop. And that really bothers me because there's such a humongous community that I don't particularly like it that a mainstream artist, a traditional artist, thinks that we're just a place to make a drop and then disappear. It's almost as if we have a way of doing things, and our way of doing things is community participation. And I've even seen traditional artists complain after a big drop. It's like, hey, what do all these people expect from me? I sold them art. Why are they trying to get in contact with me? And I think we're doing things so different now, and that's what I really relate with. I really relate with being a crypto artist, and how crypto artists are completely different from traditional artists, and so that's I'm proud to identify as one and make work as one. I don't know if that makes sense.
I love it. I love it. And I love how you evolve yourself with your art. You've been a visionary doing robotic art in 2005, and now you evolve even further. You go with crypto art, AI, everything. It's super beautiful, man. And yeah. Crypto art is the way to go. A lot of artists are coming in, not just making the drops, but it's the new economy. I would bring it. I very often bring parallels with YouTube and and celebrity economy nowadays. So it used to be like these celebrities, they make a movie, they disappear, everybody would line up to watch an interview or something, and now celebrities are the people who have like daily connection with their audience, and they check with their audience daily. So fame game is changing, so does art. So a drop is not something an artist does, a few interviews and disappears. As you said, they have to curate the artwork, and they have to work with the community, the collectors. They have to be connected. It's something completely new, as an example.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's neat, and it's like it's almost as if we're defining it. I mean, like the artists that do
Mm.
well in crypto are the most sincere. And I'm not. This is. I want to be careful here because I'm not saying, hey, if you're getting started and you haven't exploded yet, you're not being sincere. Of course, there's a lot to being an artist, but like a common theme of artists that are loved are they're sincere at all levels. From artists that are just getting started off to artists that are killing it. It's the ones that have the best relationship with their collectors, and also, like, I mean, think about it this way: there's people in the crowd that have inspired all my artwork. I do a lot of collabs with collectors, and I'll give a shout out to Ezra Higgsbelly. Is like ByteGANs, which is, I can't believe the success of it. Definitely conversations with Shibboleth, about the importance of on-chain work, and also like with FOMO Baggins, who's like has really gone crazy with on-chain work, and like I'm just seeing my collectors, which I have a really close relationship with, um, being interested in things. I was like, why are they interested in that? And I go check it out, and it's like, they're interested in that because they're really cool and really smart. And then I get hooked on the things they're hooked on. Because my focus was AI art until ByteGANs, and then ByteGANs, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the final connection. This is why this is so important. The ByteGANs are going to dance on the blockchain forever. They're going to be treated by, like I heard the term, they were a dancing coin earlier, and I was like, I'm not sure I want to be a dancing coin. And then all my collectors, no, that's cool. That's cool that they're a
Yeah, I
dancing
like
coin.
it.
And I was like, really? I was like, but that doesn't belittle the art. And like, no, that is the art. And so like
Mm.
this openness and this collaboration with all my collectors
Mm.
brings me to another level. I would not be at the level I was without daily contact with them. So
That's so beautiful, man. And I have often said that there is a lack of a word, because right now we say community, but it is a little bit more advanced than that. It's friends, investors, collectors. We refer to it as like community, but they have also a vested interest emotionally, monetarily. It is a deeper connection. I don't think the word community is it's good enough. Maybe we see a new word coming up for that.
yeah, that's a good point. Because I mean, I think this
Hmm.
is what bothers me. Community is sometimes being appropriated by things that aren't community, there. And so, but you're right, because I mean, like when I think about my friends, I literally have friends, like that I would consider close friends that I would hang out with on weekends, and I also have big investors which are non, and I like them a lot, and I would consider them friends, but I don't know who they are, so it's a different kind of friendship. I also have hybrids of these. I also have colleagues that are artists that we give each other pointers, and there are some big artists that like we only understand what the other is going through. So it's like this humongous web of connections, and all of them are pushing forward this big space, and there's circles within circles. So yeah, I mean, I'll give a shout out, and I'll give a thanks, because I'm always appreciative. The ByteGANs project was very expensive because I had to inscribe everything on chain. I'm being told that I could have done it for a tenth of the price, but after research, turns out I could have saved maybe 10%. But it costs 30 ETH to inscribe everything on chain.
Mm-hmm.
And that was only made possible because I had two big collectors, Mooncat and Blur, say that, listen, we are going to buy this from you, so go ahead and take the risk of spending 30 ETH to put it on chain. And that was a really good moment for me, where I realized that collectors were just like personally behind me, and those collectors made it possible for other collectors. So
It's a beautiful feeling, isn't
yeah,
it?
to get supports from all sorts of ways and things. Yeah, it's amazing. It's I feel fortunate. Jerry Salt's, a big New York City art critic, said you just need two collectors, and then you have a career. And I think what's cool is, like, in the crypto art space, that's not true. In the crypto art space, you just need a lot of collectors. You don't need the two.
Yes, exactly. He was like a bit left behind because that is the old thing. Now people buy 200, 300 artists per person per year,
Yes, exactly. So we've
That's
changed.
the new economy.
Yeah, we changed things. You just need a lot of collectors, and you can have a. It's beautiful, right? Because otherwise,
It
it's
is
more people
beautiful.
deciding. It used to be like 10 people decided which artists had careers in New York. And
Mm,
now it's like you can't hold it down. You can't hold talent down
yeah.
because thousands of people decide. Decentralized.
Yeah, same way as crypto revolutionized, finance, it's also revolutionizing art. Nobody expected that, but it's actually happening, and it's super, super beautiful. And we have like front row seats in history watching it, so it's great. I'm also looking, you have a TED talk teaching creativity to robots 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That was like so long ago, but seems like, so current. That's like something you would see nowadays.
It's cringe. It's
Uh,
cringe. It's so obsolete. Like, everything I said in that is like, I'm proud to have done it, but everything I said in that
mhm.
is so obsolete. Think of how fast things are moving. So
Yeah, but not everybody sees it like that. At the time, it was very inspiring already, and now it's great. I also would go back to stuff I was doing 6 years ago. Of course, I think it's cringe, but I don't think people see it like
yeah,
that.
no, I
And it's
know.
also beautiful to see, the evolution of the artist and the ideas how they changed with more data and more knowledge being available.
Yeah.
So it is great. And would you say now you're teaching creativity to AI?
Yeah, well, to switch the subject, where am I teaching creativity to AI? I don't know. I just think that it's interesting that most of the AI art projects and AI projects by academics these days focus on single algorithms, and I think our minds are like a mixture of thousands of algorithms that like are fighting with each other. The scientist Marvin Minsky at MIT once wrote a book that everyone loves called Society of Minds, and the theory is that we don't have just one mind, we have 100 minds, and depending on the task, our different minds will compete and scream and take over. and um and it,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's actually kind of true, and like I have lots of examples of it being true. That we have a lot of algorithms going on in our head, and the one that really wants to solve the problem will take over and solve it. Um and and so I think that our brains are probably 1,000 creative algorithms. We're a big generative process, but yeah, I think that's where it goes.
I can feel that, man. Like, how it all connects and how it all clicks together. I love
Yeah,
it.
and also we have moods,
Uh,
right? So we make arts in different
mm,
moods, and in those different moods, we have different algorithms. I'm sorry to break us down into algorithms, but we have different algorithms screaming louder. Like, if we're mad, we switch to the algorithm that's violent and and not our best selves, right? And we're like, that wasn't me, and then you
mm,
realize it wasn't you.
yeah.
That was a mind that was angry, and
Yeah. Switch to algorithm, feel guilt.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you calm down, and all of a sudden you're feeling guilt. Yeah.
The bite guns, man, they were super hyped before you dropped them, and this is when I started looking more and more into your art, and I saw, whoa, what is going on here? And like I started looking, I'm like, wow, this is all great. So how did people find out and get so hyped about the bike guns, and what is your plans to do with them? What is coming in 2023? If you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, it's like there's been this really steady progression from robot paintings to more and more digital, and the bitgans. I released bitgans and noun gans, very closely related. All my projects like build on each other. About 2 years ago, and then it was because I was an AI artist. I was making paintings, and a very interesting distinction. At least I think it's interesting, is I've never done an edition, and I never will do an edition. That's probably why you haven't heard about me, because I don't have as much work out there, because I don't do editions. And I don't do open editions. And the reason I don't, and I'm not judging artists that do, but the reason I don't is we have the technology to make one of ones. Like, instead of doing edition, I always encourage artists to say, hey, use AI or use a generative algorithm to make 100 unique pieces instead of selling a 100 piece edition. Because editions, when you look down in the code and you get nerdy about it, they're not even different images on the blockchain. They're linked to a single image. And so I always feel like
Well, uniqueness is something that is definitely, the new technology that comes with crypto art, everything to be unique and one out of one. However, there is a place for editions, I think.
Yeah, there is, but I mean, it's just never fit. I had this weird thing where I was trying to say that I had this weird thing where I was a robot artist, and I was trying to say these aren't prints. Every single painting is unique because the paint drips differently. The robot makes different decisions, and so I was fighting this print thing, and that my robot was making prints, and that bled over into the crypto art career. I was like, I'm not going to make editions because my robot makes an independent painting every single time. This is mass produced art, yes, like editions, but it's also got this cool angle that it's unique because the AI is making it unique. And so, and you're right, that has become very popular recently. Brain drops, art blocks, um, and so luckily, I never made an edition, and I continue to this day. But that limited me, because at the same time I'm like looking at Xcopy and Hackatow and all these other artists like releasing massive editions and getting lots of followers and being heard of. Like, it's interesting that you didn't hear of me, but I totally get it because I've never done editions, and editions are what bring you 1,000 new followers, right? So I finally cracked that nut, though. I finally cracked that nut when I made Bitgans.
Yeah,
Because
there is more than one way to get there, though. There is no standard way.
yeah, exactly.
You carved your way through with 1 out of ones.
Yeah, exactly. When I went, so I had 30 pieces before I discovered Bitgans, and I could only make a piece every week, and that was hardly going to meet demand and like get out there. But then Bitgans, as I realized, is like, I have training data that my robot studies before it paints, and the training data is actually really pretty, and the training data can be kind of goofy, and so I started making custom training data of 8-bit art, like a lot of the stuff, like there's Mario in there, there's lots of 8-bit art from my childhood in the training data. And like, the people say they see Space Invaders in there, and there is Space Invaders in there. And also my own custom training data, which I was made from scratch, and I started putting that out as art. And I realized I can make a lot more of those, not infinite amounts, but a lot more. So I made 512 Bitgans, and then a little later I made some other projects. I made Podgans, 1,024 Podgans, and this Podgans were my total nod to Space Invaders, and also the graffiti artist Invader, which I love, and I love that he was like putting, if you're familiar with Invader in France and Paris, it's like whenever there's all these, when you're walking around Paris, you'll see a Space Invader on the side of a wall, and you feel lucky when you did, because that's the work of Invader, and it's really cool street art. And so I thought,
where was that? Where was that? I was just in Paris.
all over the place. It's just like he's a street artist. And instead of using graffiti and tagging with spray paint, he tags with tiles. And you'll just stumble upon one on a street corner. Graffiti.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And I think
does he go around with like tile glue?
I don't know. I don't know what he did really cool, which I was inspired by.
Is he mixing cement to put the tile up? That's so cool.
Yeah, I know, right? Because I bet he dresses up like a construction worker, like the orange vest on, and a hard hat.
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I was just there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's maps of his work, but he does stuff. But it's cool.
Mm.
And oh yeah, so that I finally found a way to make more works, like you can do these generative things, and it caught on. And then I did, the brain drops, and brain drops caught on, and then ByteGans was my final. It's like my most recent, where I was like, I'm going fully digital, so digital that there's not even going to be a digital file. These are going to be. It's just like, there's no IPFS. It's right on the blockchain. I imagine it like
I love it. I love it so much, man.
and it got away because for years we've been exploring, just as the whole community's been exploring this cool style of these dancing bitgans, which are based on 8-bit art, but they're much higher resolution. They're these 10 megabyte files.
The dancing coin, as you said.
And we found a way to simplify them, and it worked out, and it got people's imagination. Where did the hype come from? I always hype my own work, but I didn't hype it. Like, I've never seen anything like this. It was 24,000 people registered wallets to get 1,000.
I was like hyped to mint it, and then I was like 10,000 people subscribed for 100 mint. I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I'm never going to make it.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to see, and the whole drop went nice, and the people love the art, and there is a community forming around them. It's super interesting to watch how you are taking care of it. It's a beautiful work. I loved it a lot.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I keep on mentioning imposter syndrome, and I definitely have imposter syndrome.
We all have it. We all have it.
But here's the good news. For the last 2 weeks, I haven't had it. I was like, I've done good. That's just warm.
It feels good. I love it. I love it.
So it'll be back. I promise everyone it'll be back. But for now, it's like, yeah, finally. Something that
there is something, when people are behind you and you're like, fuck yeah, let's go, brother. You feel like 10 times more confident, like King Kong. You're like, yeah, this is my work. Look at it. But then it's like nobody cares, and you're like, can you please look at this? It feels also super more imposter. So there is a weird energy that comes with love and support that it's giving wings to creators, I have to say.
Yeah, and also I say this to all my other artist friends is like, dude, I'm like you. We all worry that the next drop is our last, or like obviously it's going to be hard to follow up on ByteGans, and I am sure that when I follow up on ByteGans, I'll be like, oh, I'm over. My career's done. I joke I joke about this with other artists, because most of the other good artists that are that like exacting and that like demanding of themselves feel the exact same thing. It's like,
but that's the bet right now. That's the bet. Like you gotta problem solve again to keep it up, to overcome yourself again and again. And it's a beautiful thing. It's that this is art, right? It's like sports.
Yeah, and it's also cool that you do something that inspires other artists, and they do something, and then it's like those rap battles in the States where you're just constantly trying to outdo each other in a friendly, competitive way, and it just brings everyone up. Like I can't wait to see the response, because I already have some people talking to me about, some artist friends are like, hey, can you help me do this? I'm like, yeah, I'll help you do that. And I'm just because I'm pretty good at the coding side of things and the contract side of things, and most artists aren't. So, and then I'll see what they do, and I'll see the reaction to what they do, and it's like, okay, that was good. I'm gonna have to have my response. It's like the art, like this level of art we're at right now, isn't good enough. It's not going to be good enough next year. We're just really, really killing it. We're really getting better and better and better, and that is amazing. That's fun. So.
Let me take you back a little bit in something you mentioned early on, and it piqued my curiosity. You said back in 2005 you made your first robot, and it could make one drawing a day, and you were selling them for $200. So you were thinking, oh, if I have 5 robots, I can sell like 5 paintings a day. But you said it was hard to sell them. Did you actually sell any of those?
Yeah.
And People still own them. Some people have them. These are fucking treasures,
I
right?
sold a lot of them, like thousands.
Oh
But they're
wow.
not treasures. Like we in crypto. Here's something we're in crypto is funny is in crypto we love the first one, right? We love firsts, and we're always talking first.
Mm,
But sometimes an artist has to find their style, and the early ones, while some of them are really cool, um, I made a lot of mistakes. I'll tell you some mistakes I
mm,
made. Podgans are definitely a reference to Space Invaders, but they are not Space Invaders. No one would ever mistake a Space Invaders. But when I had a bill I had to pay, I did this thing which I regret now. I would do a quick robot painting of R2D2, and it would absolutely sell immediately. And it was really cool because I had the steady source of income from painting R2D2s. But the problem is, people weren't buying my work, right? They were buying George Lucas's R2D2, and I feel a
mm,
little guilt. I
yes.
feel a little guilt about that.
And then you get the imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah, right. It's like I'm just a hack, living off of George Lucas's IP, and that would make me feel bad. And I also feel bad. It's like I was taking advantage of another artist. But I'm sure George Lucas wasn't crying. But it's just like I made that mistake. Um, I would rush things out because I had to produce, so I would sell a lot, and like sometimes like something art wouldn't be ready, but I would sell it because yeah, I'll give you. So as much as I'm criticizing myself for that, there are some cool things. Like I live on a street in Fort Worth, and in Fort Worth, people like to have big windows in their front of their house, and there's a house 10 doors down. This is weird, and this is awesome. There's a house 10 door down that, if you look into the living room, you see a big 9-piece canvas of mine that was bought around 2008. So there's a piece of art hanging by another person on my street, and I think that is cool, just to show how
Do you know them
I do
personally?
now. Yeah. So, so
Also, when they bought it, they didn't know that you lived on that
I
street.
moved here. I moved here. And what's
Mm.
cool is my mom was visiting, and she wanted to go sing. I was like, just don't get shot. But my mom sneaks up and like looks into their window like like it's just crazy. But I think the reason that's sweet is because it just shows how prolific my art is. It's in every city, and this took 10, 20 years to get to. So yeah, so that's kind of cool, and that was kind of like a
That's
realization.
super cool, man. That is like, an artist's dream. You walk down your street and you see your art,
Yeah.
and you didn't put it there. That is beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Well, the strange thing is that he knows about my success now, and he's asked me if he can sell it at Sotheby's. And I'm like, no, you just need a better alarm system. You need to get a good alarm system. But
That's so cool.
yeah, so it is fun and it is cool. Yeah, a lot of moments. Like I was telling you about this amount of rejection an artist goes through from when they start to when they make it. It just makes these moments that much sweeter. It's like, wow,
Mm,
it's yeah, yeah. I have some bad
yeah.
memories about rejection. And also just like not being taken seriously by everyone, parents, friends. Like I remember after I got into art and started going, I'd have my close friends joke with me. Like I told you, one of them said, "Hey, it's a printer." Another one commissioned me to do a painting, and I show up to do the painting, and there's a bunch of paint cans on the floor, and it was a joke, and it was meant in good humor, and he wasn't actually expecting me to paint his house. But he's like, "Hey, this is the way I wanted it to be this green and the trim to be white." And I was like, "Ah, ha, ha, very funny." Uh, but that's the kind of respect artists sometimes get, and people don't realize it's rough because there's just so much rejection. You just have to get used to it.
Exactly. And I say to the team all the time, when we are going through a rough patch, I'm like, guys, we also have to appreciate like the hardships and the time that we are feeling unsure, because like if it happens, when it happens, we are going to be looking back at those times with sort of like a romantic view. Things were simpler,
Yeah,
so just take rejections with pleasure, as much as it sounds weird, but yeah, we always strive and try. And when you're ambitious and you get rejected, it's a hard thing, especially everybody has an ego, as much as we try not to, and it's hard. It's not easy. And yeah, being an artist and getting rejected over and over again can be demoralizing.
Yeah. Jason Bailey, Art Gnome, had that cool tweet recently. Is like your highs are only as good as your lows. So maybe that helps us artists and us creatives, bigger than artists, like everyone. It's like without those lows, when you get those highs, it wouldn't be as high. So
Yeah. 100%. I don't know if, thank you everybody for listening in. I don't know if you guys have any questions or you would like to join the conversation. Please feel free to raise your hands and we'll pass the mic on to you. You mentioned Ezra, if he would like to come up.
yeah.
And I don't know if Dudley has any questions.
Well, you kind of whole bunch of that I had in my bucket, but oh, you have a crypto voxels venue. What's your take on the metaverses? Actually, I see you have a gallery, with portraits, and
I love it.
Exploring it. It's cool, yeah.
I love the metaverse because it lets us get in touch with each other, even though we live around the world. And I think that was a big part of like how this all came together, right? Me going to Crypto Voxels, meeting people. And when I meet them in real life, I don't even feel like I'm meeting them in real life. I felt like we've already met just because we've hung out in Crypto Voxels. It brings this thing of presence and hanging out. So I love it. I do question though. I do question. I have bought lots of digital real estate for very expensive prices because I like the really good locations. But I do question the wisdom of that because maybe land is unlimited.
Yes.
And so I think it's awesome, but I'm not going to speculate on any more land. And I've bought very central. Yeah, I bought some central land.
I think we all have enough land to cry on.
And then they added this dumb thing called teleportation, so you can bounce from place to place without walking, and so location doesn't matter. so I love it. But yeah, and then I have crypto voxels, I have Somnium Space. I'm exploring the Mocha rooms. I just really like these. I like the galleries and I like playing. Oh man, was it fun! Man, was it fun putting my galleries together and hanging up my art and just making it this belongs next to this. And
it's just sad to put so much work to put your gallery together and nobody comes.
Yeah,
because the metaverse has very limited people.
I know, right? I think I know. I know, but you can pretend.
It's a beautiful process. I have done it myself. I agree, but it's very hard. Even if it's a link on Crypto Voxels, it's hard to get people there.
Yeah.
And when they show up, motherfuckers are naked.
Yeah, you can place always voxel avatars around.
Yeah, my favorite though has to be Crypto Voxels, just because it's so Minecraft and so easy to do.
Yes,
but visually I love Somnium Space because it's just if I had unlimited time, you can just make some beautiful things and the lighting is gorgeous. Decentraland I like as well, but Decentraland is is between Crypto Voxels and these and Somnium Space and doesn't look as good as Somnium Space, but the community and the ecosystem is awesome. So yeah, they're all good. They all have their things, but if I had to say, Crypto Voxels is my favorite place to hang out. So,
yeah, CV is probably the community favorite. I would say I also like it the most.
Yeah.
I would like to welcome Arvin Nair. Hey man, how's it going?
It's going absolutely wonderful. First of all, thank you so much. And PVA, I've been stalking you like crazy ever since the mint date. And the reason was basically I was not really an art collector. This is the reality. Yeah? I was mostly flipping NFTs and all that. And I looked at your art and I was like, why are people paying so much for this? I mean, I really don't understand anything. And I was wondering what is this something is moving around here, there, and all, and it's not even really. The colors were there; it was something great. But then I realized that there is something to it that I should not be asking in public, but I should really research. And then when I did the research on that on-chain activity of yours, that it's 100% on-chain, and then I realized, bro, this guy is some genius, And I was literally waiting for that mint to happen, and I'm really indebted to him because I realized that there is a new world altogether in this art world in the NFT space, and because of him, I was able to, meet some wonderful people like Roadweb, Obi-Wan, and they're genuine people, they're really art collectors. They really mentor you, they really guide you, and this is a community of ByteGans basically, and I'm forever indebted to you,
Oh,
PVA.
thanks.
Thank you so much.
No, thanks. And I love your story because I love your stories. Like a lot of people get into this because they're interested in crypto and they're interested in flipping, but then they fall in love with the art. So it's like an entry level things like, oh, it's interesting because it's exciting because there's drops and I can, like, if I'm clever enough and I can do, but then it bites, and then it's like, and I think it starts with keeping this, and that, it's awesome. Thank you so much. It's awesome that you got into it and recognize that this is a new art form, and it will lead. The more successful people are at flipping, the more of them become collectors of one of ones, and it's just a really cool. I wonder, has this ever happened before? It hasn't. It couldn't have happened in the art world. The art world is too exclusive. The traditional art world.
Mm.
So
On that, I was chatting yesterday with my brother. My brother is a photographer. He's a professional photographer, takes a product photographer, and I'm like encouraging him to go more like into the artistic side of photography with NFTs and stuff. And he was telling me yesterday on the phone that, there is an artist that I have been following for a long, long time, and I recently found out he's doing NFTs. And he was telling me that he knows a lot about NFTs and all of that. He's my brother, And he was like, I never wanted an NFT, and I never understood really collecting them. But he sells his NFTs for 1 Ethereum, and I think it's really worth it. It's really cool, and I want to buy it. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly it, man. Like the more the scope gets broadened and more interests come in. Different people have different interests, and they just get into it for what it is, not just for speculation.
yeah. And here's an interesting thing. Yeah. It's also unexpected. Like I thought I had an angle. I was like, I'm going to beat everyone at their NFT game because NFTs are digital and they're not physical. I have a robot. I'm making physicals, and I'm going to give something to collectors that they can't have with these digital pieces, physical paintings. But surprisingly, the opposite has turned out to be true. Most people that buy my art, even the ones that have physicals attached to them, don't want the physical. More than 50% say, hey, you can keep the physical. I just want the NFT. Or in some, even like Yeah has said, hey, I would like you to destroy the physical because I just want the NFT. And I won't do it.
Is it possible to rent a robot from you?
It takes so much work, and it's like every single time it just takes so much customization. It's not possible. It's just, and it
Not
wouldn't be
possible.
good. But you know what? There are, you can look up. There are, what's the name of this? There are plotter printers that are very affordable, like $1,000, and you can put gel pens on them. Axes. Look up Axes tables, and you can get yourself a plotter printer. It's not holding a brush; it holds markers, but very easy to
That's a
program.
good idea.
Humongous community behind it, and like it wouldn't be hard to turn a Fidenza into a plotted printer. Uh,
Maybe that's a cool idea for our prince in New
Yeah,
York, Dudley.
yeah.
We are exploring options. That's why I asked if we can rent a robot from you.
yeah, no, hit me up
Or you can.
offline, and I'll give you all the shortcuts of how to make. Because the prints are cool when they're one of one prints, right? And these plotter
Mm,
printers take 2 hours to
mm.
finish. How many prints were you thinking of making? Hundreds?
We don't know. We have no idea. Whatever makes sense artistically and it's fun. We want to have fun.
Yeah.
So we will see. It was really nice. I met a Snowfro in Paris. And when I met him, he's like, "Oh, what is your favorite squiggle?" And he had this Polaroid thingy with him, and he like printed it and signed it. And I thought that was really, really cool. I would like to do something like that. So we are exploring what can we do, because we meet people who hold our NFTs, and we will be there. So do something really nice.
That's cool.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's cool.
Are you attending?
No, I'm going to Tokyo. Oh, when is it? When is the New York and it's New York NFT? What I think I'm in
Yeah.
Tokyo. I think, but I'm not sure.
Well,
No, Tokyo starts like the next day.
Oh yeah,
I think it's like 14 to 16 of April.
yeah. I'm 14th to 16th of April. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. My next. I try not to overbook because I have this personality that concentrates on things. So I have Bright Moments
Mhm.
Tokyo, and then nothing planned after Bright Moments Tokyo, and that's May 5th to May 10th. And I'm going to be in Tokyo, so it's like total concentration. I'm thinking. I'll say it here
Amazing.
first. I think I found a way to get another much more complex AI algorithm onto the blockchain, 100% on chain. And I was so impressed as I was talking to the Art Blocks engine people, and they were telling me that I would have to have like no matter what I'd have to do this, and then I was like, but no, I made a prototype. You want to see it? And they looked at it and like, okay, this is really cool. Yeah, you got it. We can't help you any. So it's like I even got the approval that it's some really cool tech. Um, and I don't know because I'm an AI expert, so I don't know. I try and get into the contracts and make it cool blockchain contracts, but I don't know. And 100% on chain is it's not new by any means, inspired by a lot of other artists, but it is hard. And here's the big challenge for AI artists. The big challenge is it's expensive to put data on the blockchain. And AI art is notoriously massive. My BitGains are 10 megabytes each, and I had to shrink them down to 1 kilobyte to even be affordable. I'd like to even be like reasonable to get onto the blockchain. And so when you're talking about putting,
And even that was 30 ETH,
yeah,
right?
30 ETH, but yeah, 30 ETH, but and it was important. I'll answer the criticisms earlier. Like someone wrote that they could have done it for 3 or 4, but the way they did it was going to blob all the art into a single piece and put it as the contract. But I wanted it like you mint, and when you mint, you get your ByteGAN.
Yeah, someone always knows
Yeah,
better,
and well, they did know better, and I have to admit, I learned something from them, and I learned how to save
Mm-hmm.
20%. I could have done it 20% better,
Mm-hmm.
but like, yeah, I couldn't have gone it down much more than 20%. And I keep on trying because who wants to spend 30 ETH minting? But yeah, no, this is I got yeah, I'll reveal it here. I my first big project that got big awards, that got international attention, was AI Imagined Faces, and I did it in 2018. It's where my robots would imagine a face, start painting them, and then the cameras would be taking pictures, and the robots would stop painting the face as soon as it recognized the face on the canvas. So, facial recognition software is going. Again, is generating faces, and it's painting until it sees the face, and then it stops. Super popular. It won first place in this robot art prize, which was this massive competition, international competition, and I actually etched them onto the Bitcoin blockchain with Verisart. I put them on BTC. Verisart's lost it, and so I thought I lost them all. And then after NFTs got popular again, Verisart found it, and they got back in touch, and he's like, "Oh, we found all the art." So the problem with centralization, but big thanks to Verisart for like preserving it. But these aren't on the blockchain. And just recently, with all the stuff I've done with ByteGANs, I found a way to do a new set of AI imagined faces using the same algorithm I used in 2018. But these are going to be etched forever. I'm not going to make a mistake this time. Well, time will tell. But these are going to be etched forever on the Ethereum blockchain, animated, uh, and a new art. I've never felt comfortable revisiting old projects unless something interesting is happening, and I feel comfortable revisiting AI Imagined Faces because the first time I tried to put them on the blockchain failed. It was even before NFTs, and now that I know a good way of preserving one of my best pieces of art forever, I'm going to do it for Bright Moments. and people will be able to mint live and get their AI.
That will be a live mint in Tokyo. Oh wow!
And so
Dudley, what do you think? Should we go to Tokyo?
Around the world in
yeah. So
Oh, that sounds really, really cool, man.
yeah. So yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks, and I'm excited because it's like it's also like I always think of story arcs. This is the story arc, right? Like in 2018, I was a robot artist making physical works. I won a physical contest for robotic paintings, and it failed. Right? They're all lost. I made 128 of them. I gave them away at a New York event, very similar to how the Lost Robbies were given away. I gave them away, but no one realized they're anything. I'm sure they're all in the trash. And I preserved them on the blockchain, but the blockchain failed. So here we are coming back to like Ethereum, a better technology, and me, a fully digital crypto artist. The transformation from AI artist to crypto artist is like sort of complete. So it's funny. It's fun for me in that sense.
But it's very creative transferring this old work in a nice way, you know. Also, like even painting restoration, it's an art of its own, you know. So it is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Thanks. Well, one thing I am being careful of is these will be new works. I'm very particular about crypto, and I sort of think that I don't like it when like I'll criticize the Picasso Foundation because they're Picasso and everyone loves Picasso, but they're thinking of minting old Picassos. But that doesn't make sense to me. The provenance is not real. So when these works that are coming out in Tokyo will be new works. I'm going to use an old algorithm, but they will be new works, and the provenance will be that they were created now, as opposed to in 2018. If that makes sense. It makes sense to me.
I agree that work is important to the medium of the time published. You know, you cannot mint historic NFTs nowadays. You know, as in terms of like going back in history and minting something from the past.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we do with the Gazette. We mark it when it happens, you know, and it's live when it happens.
Yeah.
When nobody cares, let's say. And then it's history, and then it's something that happened in the past. And it has a different nostalgia to it.
Yeah, and you can't repeat moments in the past and why they were interesting or important. You can. You can. I guess you can, but it's not as interesting, right? So
yeah. Well, if Picasso was alive and he was minting new work, his new work minting would be more, interesting and original than if he minted his old work into the chain, even if it was by himself.
Yeah.
You know.
And the medium means so much, right? So like the intended medium makes all the difference. Like, with ByteGans, the intended medium is to actually be a coin. And that makes it that much more interesting. That's why it's so perfect in my mind. If he made, like, I love his light paintings where he just take a piece of light and paint in front of a camera with movement. The medium was, I don't even know what the medium on that was, but that's what made it so interesting. His drawings were meant to be drawings. His paintings were meant to be paintings. To change the medium to a digital work is kind of weird to me because we don't know if that was his intent. We don't know if he would have played with digital work the same way he played with light when he did those light paintings. We just don't know, and we don't know his intent. So I think it's weird of the foundation to do, and also I think it's weird. I think it's weird for an artist to do that, and I'm careful to criticize artists, but I discourage this. I don't think artists should mint old works because the medium matters, and when you made that old work, you didn't intend the medium to be an NFT, and that's why I'm very careful with the AI Imagine Faces. I'm only doing this because I am now intending the medium to be the blockchain, and I think that's a really cool medium. So.
For sure, man. I love it. I loved every moment of this interview.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know if you have any final comments before we close, or anything to say before we wrap it up.
Can I take 2 minutes to just bring up Sovereign, or I can talk about Sovereign? In Ezra's, one thing I love about this space is how crazy how much artists help other artists. Like, we early on, to go full circle, X Copy and I were like helping each other out. Uh, he continues to help a lot of other artists out today. I do the same. And so there's this thing called the Sovereign Open, where 12 artists have gone together and started making these awesome. They're in the audience. You'll see them, sovereign.art. They make these awesome collections of 500, highly curated, all working with each other. And ByteDance was a sovereign art drop. It's just an independent studio that has independent contracts, and they are going to be. Sovereign Art just joined us as speakers. Can I ask Sovereign Art to tell us what we're going to do? Are you ready to talk, Sovereign Art?
Yeah, go
Sure.
ahead. Let's go.
Hey,
All right, there you go.
this is Ezra from Sovereign Art. Yeah, Pindar told a bit of the story, but we started out basically as from the community that had grown around, I don't know, the community that had grown around BitGans, and people sharing their knowledge about about AI art and about minting, about contract writing. And Sovereign dropped a few other collections, the Sightseers by Norman Harmon, and the Anne Spalter collections, AI Rabbits and her AI Spaceships, and it was Sovereign that dropped the ByteGans. Actually, was our last big deal, and then we have about 10 artists now that we're dropping as a kind of a branch out from what these people have been developing together. And the first one in later March will be Mikey Woodbridge, which is a AI fashion collection that Mikey has trained on. I don't know, but Mikey. Well, we learn more about that collection from in the coming days. But it's something Mikey's made based on his history and in fashion as a designer and a performer. And the over the next months, then the rest of our people will drop it with the dev who did the ByteGans and who did these other contracts, Justin Highland, and Pindar's leading us up. And it's true. I don't know, like if you've been around Pindar in the last years, and been around with the BitGans, then you've seen how much Pindar puts back into his collectors, into his colleagues. And Sovereign, I think, is sort of a way that we're bringing that forward and paying it forward, but also just like trying to bring out some of what we see as where AI art can go.
Yeah, and I'll add, like, when we started Sovereign, it was supposed to be just like a thing that we all did for fun, just like, oh, we're all AI enthusiasts. But the quality of the art is so absurdly good that I'm beginning to realize that either BitGans attract some of the best artists in the space, or it's just like AI is this new thing that, like, where all of us, given enough time, effort, curation, and help, can do really well. Because I'm looking at all the projects, I am going to buy multiples of every single one, sincerely, and not because these are my friends, because they're so good. Like Mikey Woodbridge, he's done the Other Faces series, which is sold out. Big collectors like Kevin Abosh, and then there's so many. I don't want to list the artists because I'm not going to be able to list all 12, so I'll just list Mikey's. But all these artists have come up with really impressive collections, and it's my way. One of my ways of giving back to the community is to put the spotlight on more artists, and I think this is a great way, because this way you can you can get some really good collections, very impressive quality, and most of these artists are they're really well established in the space, and they have a reputation they're building up, and I think it's going to be a fun year for that. So yeah, I'll just look forward to people seeing the new Sovereign Art drops coming out.
It's a beautiful thing, man. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I will ask Steven if we can write an article about it.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Get Yes, for sure. It sounds really awesome idea.
Yeah, great. All right, I've loved this. This has been a great interview. You're very good at making me feel at ease. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. I'm still learning and evolving the craft. I'm not the best, but it's amazing when to chat with genuinely passionate people like yourself. So it gives me a lot of energy to make the interviews better and better. So thank you.
Thanks. That was awesome.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening to us. You've all been wonderful. Thanks for checking out the interview, and thank you for Pindar for taking our invitation. I will also invite you in the future to the show. Check up with you. How are you doing? And what you are up to at some point later in 2023.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love it.
All right. So we have a great interview lined up for this Thursday with Alejandro Cartagena. I hope I pronounced that well. He's a fellow CryptoPunk and photographer. I'm sure you all know him. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. You can set your reminders. The Gazette is live. If anybody wants to mean to support us, we greatly appreciate it. Thanks everyone for listening. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Bye bye, guys.
See y'all later.